And what's going on, everybody? So, welcome to another episode of the Eagles Talk Podcast, where we talk all things Eagles. Kind of break down their schedule. Obviously, tonight at 8 o'clock, is the Eagles' schedule release for basically the NFL schedule release for all 32 NFL teams. Before we get into it, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new, definitely share this out. We'll greatly appreciate that. Kind of get that all out of the way. Kind of want to start to get up a few points. I think me and many Eagles fans are kind of excited to see what our schedule is going to look like. Based on the fact that what the Eagles did last year. Hopefully they can build off of that. Obviously, we have an amazing draft in the way that they did. Obviously getting Jordan Davis in the first round, and he's getting Nakobe in the third, getting Cam Jurgens in the second. That kind of thing. Right now, I have technically right now I have the what do you call it? The NFL Network. So basically, do my reactions to how our schedule is going to be, especially for all 32 teams. It's going to be very interesting to say the least. So to see, but it is what it is, though. I mean, it's just something I would like to see of see what the Eagles are going to look like. Obviously going into 2022. Obviously last year, finished 9-8. I think my best bet for this team on paper, I think we can probably win maybe 11 games, maybe at the most, because I feel like with this Eagles team, winning 11 games, I feel like it seems more realistic than then people would say, oh, they're going to win like 12 or 13, because I don't think we're there just yet, so to speak. Based on the fact that, we still got a lot. I mean, there's a lot of players that still aren't proven. Obviously Jalen Hurts. I think a lot of Eagles fans would have, some people kind of would, basically, just want to get rid of them. And, people if Eagles fans like me want to try to at least give them another year and, continue player development, which is something that a lot of, especially as Eagles fans, some Eagles fans don't really get the concept of. There's a thing called player development. Now, if he doesn't pan out, then yay, then we can ship him out. But let's say hypothetically, if he does pan out, I think we have our guy. I think we truly do. Plus, having AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are probably the two biggest wide receivers on the outside. Plus, you could probably put Quez Watkins as our slot. Then also have a running core like Miles Sanders, Boston Scott. Also have Dallas Goedert, and whoever's going to be his backup is, and third stringer, so to speak. It's going to be very interesting to take a look at. But yeah, something that sorry about that. What this Eagles team is going to look like, especially despite the fact we have some question marks on, especially the secondary, their safety and the cornerback. Now, obviously, we know that Darius Slay is our number one corner. Now the corner number two, which used to be Steven Nelson, but he walked in free agency. That's something that I think that might hurt us a little bit. Same with the safety, because we did bring back Anthony Harris. We still have Marcus Epps and whoever else is going to fill in that spot, so to speak. But I don't know, man. It's going to be very interesting of what this team's going to look like. Now, obviously, especially what the schedule is going to be looking like. It's something how this. I want to see this. I think a lot of us Eagles fans want to see this team have another successful year and keep building off of what we did last year. And obviously, we did improve it, address some of our needs in the. In the 2022 NFL draft. People are. But yeah. Other than that, it's something that oh my God, people are just constantly going off phone. But kind of get off back to what my train of thought is. I think the Eagles, especially getting people. I think even myself included, I said this to one of my last show, my last episode. I was kind of 50-50 on that Cam Jurgens pick, based on the fact that I mean, obviously we don't know, like Kelsey is on a 1-1 year deal, but if Kelsey sees what of what how he sees it, I mean, I'm gonna go. I guess we can go with this. Go with the gut. Go with this. His his pick, even though Cam Jurgens is a Kelsey pick, which is very unusual to say the least. Based on the fact that it's just I mean, getting someone like Jordan Davis, and I'll be real, like I would not mind. I mean, Jordan Davis obviously is a good pick for one of our first rounders. Um, and and another guy like I wouldn't mind having too is Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame, but fell to the Baltimore Ravens. So either way, no, I mean they were also even the Ravens were kind of tied to Kyle Hamilton. Or I'm not saying Kyle Hamilton, but Jordan Davis. But we leapfrogged them and you snatched Jordan Davis, and the only other option that Baltimore had was getting Kyle Hamilton. Now the question is, how do you? And for me, I think our secondary might take a bit of a hit, because I think there's going to be some pieces that I think are going to be gone be next year. Next year going to be gone. Oh Jesus. Basically, in a way that someone like Fletcher Cox is going to be is a perfect example of the guy that's going to be gone, because let's be real, someone like Cox I think he's done enough here in Philadelphia. I'll be really chill to be honest with you guys. I really do, and it's something that it sucks. You don't want to see something like that. Someone like a longtime Eagle, like Fletcher Cox or Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey. You guys don't want to see him retire, but we're a young team in a way that I think the Eagles really know. And I think some of the older guys know, like Cox. I think Kelsey knows that his time's going to be coming up very soon. But other than that, I mean, it's something that. But I don't know. But it's going to be very interesting to see what this team's going to look like going forward. Let's say if hypothetically, I mean, we all know that Kelsey might retire very soon. Let's say if Cox is going to retire when Cox retires. Same with Lane Johnson. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting because there's going to be some spots that I think some of these younger guys that we got in the draft might refill in those pieces. Like Jordan Davis could fill in Fletcher Cox's spot by the time when Cox is said and done, with his career or whatnot. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting what this team. Like I said, it's going to be very interesting what this team's going to look like. I mean, the fact that we're going to be playing. The fact that even and I think with Joe Cash, kind of go with Joe Cash or what did you the schedule prediction? Like the first, I want to see. There's some games I want to see, just to see what the Eagles are going to do. Like, let's take Washington for example. Probably not one of the better. Let's be real. I think not one of the better teams in the division. Even though they haven't done anything in the draft. And the fact that they have Carson Wentz, though, it's just like I know a lot of Eagles fans will even myself included, want to see Carson Wentz get stomped into the ground. Because he has to play us twice this year, and also has to face Indy as well. Another team that drove him out because of his subpar performance. During not say performance, but a subpar time in Indianapolis. But it's something that I don't know. I want to kind of get your guys' thoughts on that really quick before we kind of get into what is going on right now. Let's see. Right now, the way that this obviously we don't know this is still the 17th game schedule. So, 1 second, guys, I got to readjust a few things. So, okay, so let me just do this really quick. Okay, so obviously the Eagles did put out their schedule, so I want to kind of go over a few things. Obviously, week 1 we play on September 11th. We are away in Detroit. We're back in Detroit for the opening game at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Is that I mean, kind of go over a few things, especially for those who have not seen Eagle or some of our Eagles games. Despite the fact we did stomp Detroit into the ground last year. Obviously Detroit, it was bad. But I thought in the draft. I thought that the Lions did make some decent moves to really improve that team a little bit. Because I think Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell can really. I thought it brought out some brought some potential in some of these players that they had. Amon St. Brown, T.J. Hawkinson, just to name a few. Then we got then. Like I said, Jalen Hurts could be one of those guys that's like you want to be. I don't know. Like that's just very interesting. But moving on to week 2, we are home against Minnesota. I think Minnesota has done had a decent draft, but not really as teams like the Eagles, the Lions, Jets. Though you could probably throw the Giants in there, but they really haven't done much after the first round though. But I think Vikings could be an easy beat team, because I think their only weakness has always been their defense. But it's something that I just want to see. I think me and many other Eagles fans and Eagles content creators on this platform, we want to see this team really be as successful as they possibly can going, especially in the year 2 of this retooling process. Under Nick Sirianni and his coaching staff, have another full season with Jalen Hurts. I know a lot of people are going to probably disagree on this. Kind of get rid of him, because obviously, during the all-draft free agency period, we did pick up Carson Strong, and a lot of, like I said, and I mentioned this before too, Eagles Twitter kind of went off, and I think there's a lot of, haters going down, say you get rid of him. But I'll be totally real. I think Carson Strong is not the best quarterback prospect, but, and we can still probably keep. We still have Minshew as our backup. So for obviously for this year, because he is on this year is his last year of his contract. And then whoever's going to be your third stringer, that could be either Carson Strong or Reed Sinnett. Whoever those, both are total scrubs. And the way that I don't know. It's just something that I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to really look at going forward. Obviously, week 3 we're in Washington. I think we can actually beat Washington, despite the fact they only took another quarterback in the 5th round, and Sam Howell. They took Jahan Dotson out of Penn State as one of the other wide receivers, but really they have not addressed other needs that they really need at the moment. But I think if Carson Wentz does start, let's say per se, the issue, and I think Colts and even Eagles fans myself, we have our knocks on Carson Wentz. He's trying to play hero ball. He wants to try to extend the play as possible, and not gonna lie, it really does not suit Carson Wentz well as it once did, based on the fact that Carson Wentz is really not that great as he once was. I think sometimes his production has gone down a little bit the last couple of years, but it is what it is, though. But I think that's, I think right now, so far for these 3 games, I think Detroit, I think we can easily beat. Minnesota, that's going to be a close one. That can go, I think Minnesota and Washington, that can be very close if the Eagles don't play like crap in the first half, which I'll talk about after I go over the schedule really quick. Obviously, I think Commanders, I think they can probably give us a run for our money, but I think the Commanders are easily beatable. Vikings, obviously last year we did lose to the Vikings, but we have beaten them in the past. I think a lot of Eagles fans know where I'm going with this. After we stomped them in the NFC Championship game on the way to our Super Bowl. Then we got the Jaguars in week 4 on October 2nd at 1 p.m. I think that's going to be an easy beatable game, because I think the Jaguars despite all the good moves that they made in the draft and even the offseason, I don't think it's going to be enough, especially the fact that, Doug Peterson is leading that Jacksonville team. And I think I'll be real with you guys. I don't think Doug Peterson was that bad of a coach, but his play calling, I think all Eagles fans can agree that his play calling got stale after a while. Plus, we really didn't have an offensive coordinator, and the fact that they brought in Press Taylor too, which is not going to help Trevor Lawrence one bit, but that's here nor there. But I think that's so far. If I can give a prediction so far right now, the first 4 games, I could probably say maybe go 3-1 in our first 4 games. Because I think the only team that can probably give us a true run for our money so far in the first 4 games is probably Minnesota, because I feel like Washington, despite having Taylor McLaurin, now having Jahan Dotson going to be wearing their uniform, and now also getting their defense back, even though their defense kind of took a huge step backwards last year. I think Washington can be easily beatable, but I think Minnesota, if I'm going to be real, I think it can give us a run for our money. So that's the only loss I see could be a potential loss, and that's against Minnesota. And then we got the Cardinals in week 5 on October 9th at 4:25. That's going to be very interesting because, Arizona has lost some key players. I mean, Chandler Jones obviously went to the Raiders. They still brought back Zach Ertz. I think he's going to play well for them. D Hop's probably going to miss some games. I feel like, and I don't know if I said this too, but I'll say this too. I'll say this, but I think not having D Hop, I think it did make a little bit of a difference because especially on that offense, with that wide receiver core. And then you also got JJ Watt on leading the defensive side of the football. And then when he went down with injuries last year, their defense kind of sputtered a little bit, but I think they still played well without JJ Watt, but really not as well when they had him. Then we're home against the Cowboys on week 6 at 8:20. I think that's a prime time game. I think with the Cowboys, and obviously, I think we always like this rivalry between us and the Eagles and the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to take a little bit of a step back, based on the fact that losing Cedric Wilson, thought was a very underappreciated wide receiver. He went to Miami. Losing Randy Gregory to the Broncos, and some of the draft picks that they have made this year or in this year's draft. Who knows how their defense is not going to be the same, despite the fact that they have Trayvon Diggs, who is extremely overrated. But I'm not just saying to be biased, but I think the entire football world knows how overrated Trayvon Diggs is. Basically, the fact that he's only the cornerback, just a terrible cornerback, giving up 1,000 yards. It's just like, it's just something that a lot of us can really just not really put into perspective, but it is what it is. But other than that, then we have our bye week in week 7. That's going to be very interesting how we're going to come out, especially right now so far. Let's kind of deep. Like, obviously, I did kind of break down a little bit for the first 6 games. Prediction wise, if I want to give like my prediction on the first 6 games, I could probably say 4-2. And the reason why I say 4-2 is because I think the Cardinals can give us a run from right. Same with Minnesota, so that could be 2 potential losses right there. Teams like Detroit, Jacksonville, and we can definitely beat Dallas for sure, and Washington too. So that could be our 4 potential wins right there in the first 6. So basically, if we can go 4-2 in the first 6 games, I think overall, that can be a good start. And then obviously, like I said, week 7 is our bye week. And then once we come out of the bye week of week 7, then we go into week 8, October 30th, and that's against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are home against them. Now the question is, who's going to be who's going to be the starting quarterback. We're going to have to wait and see how everything plays out. It could either be Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, or whoever they have in that quarterback room, because that's another team that's probably could be. It's another team I can think of that can be is like in quarterback purgatory at this. I think that's going to be. I think that's not. We're not going to. Should not take this game easy. I think Pittsburgh has a tendency. The thing about Pittsburgh is they're such a scrappy team. If you go back to last year, somehow made the playoffs. Never had a losing season under Mike Tomlin. But if it weren't for that tie, they could have probably had a better, be somewhere different in the playoffs. But it is what it is. Especially going from last year. The Texans is going to be an interesting thing to really take a look at. Based on the fact of the many great moves that the Texans have made. Obviously now having new head coach Lovie Smith taking the reins. They still have Davis Mills. I thought having getting Derek Stingley to help out with that secondary. I think steal for them was Christian Harris out of Alabama. I think he's going to really help that linebacking core. And I think all the draft picks I think that they made so far in this year's draft, I can really think they can. I think it can be. I think it can do well. I think that's going to be another win right there. So far, right now, other than the bye week, I think so far, we want to go say this first 8 games. I could probably say we can go 5-3. I think Pittsburgh can find a way to put up a fight against us, because, like I said, Pittsburgh, as bad as they were, especially when it comes to quarterbacks, they have a tendency to be very scrappy since, their offense was kind of ran through Najee Harris. Chase Claypool, depends on when he gets his head out of his ass from time to time at some point. I think overall, also getting Kenny Pickett, local product went to the University of Pittsburgh. But that's going to be really interesting to really take a look at. Then we go to week 10, which is November 14th. That is the Washington Command. We're home against the Commanders at 8:15. And like I said before, when we take on the Commanders on the road, I think we can actually probably play. Like I said, guess it also applies too, because we played them twice. Because obviously, obviously getting Sam Howell, like I said, getting Sam Howell in the 5th round. Still having Taylor Heineke. Let's be real, he's not that great as people think he is. I think Taylor Heineke is below average. Carson Wentz, I think he's also below our average when he wants to be. I think if Carson Wentz comes in Lincoln Financial Field, he's not going to get a warm welcome here from Eagles fans. I know that he's going to at least get some, but there's going to be a lot of boos rained down on Carson Wentz's head and the rest of the Washington Commanders. I think I think there's a possibility we can sweep the Washington Commanders. Because I think Ron Rivera is still a good coach, but the way that their offense is not great. The only bright spots. You still have. I think Dotson could be a bright spot. Same with Taylor McLaurin, who always has been a thorn on our sides. Every time when we played Washington. With the Pack, now we got the Colts. Now it's going to be very interesting because now we're going to see Matt Ryan for the first time in a different uniform. After the Falcons traded him for a couple draft picks. Now, do I think Matt Ryan's going to do well at Indy? Only time will tell. Because I think Matt Ryan as a quarterback probably not has much longer left in the tank if he stays healthy. Because we've seen, I just feel like Matt Ryan, it's not the same quarterback as he once was. Do I think he can still be productive with Indy? Yeah, to some extent. One of the that's another team I still believe they're in quarterback purgatory. Get out of here. But other than that, and then we got the Packers. My buddy Max Coverage TV. He's a huge Packers guy. I think that's another potential loss right there. But I think we can definitely put up a fight against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers is still a good quarterback, but that entire team's going to look entirely different after Devontae Adams left and all the other stuff that went down with all that. And just really don't have that much. And I mean, have some couple of interesting prospects in Sky Moore and Romeo Dobbs, who I thought are probably going to be very huge steals for the Packers when it comes to the wide receiver core. Because let's be real, I think they have nobody of like a bit like. I mean, they have probably have some decent wide receivers, but they're probably not big name wide receivers like a Devontae Adams maybe. But I think that could be another loss right there. Based on the fact I think Green Bay's always going to be good, especially under Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. But sometimes where the issue lies is, is Green Bay going to take a step back a little bit? Losing some pieces, like a Devontae Adams. I don't know if Sedarius Smith is back with the team. Someone's going to let me know in the chat. And something that I think it's going to be very interesting to watch between the Eagles and the Packers. And then we're going to go to week 13. We're home against the Titans. And that's going to be very, very interesting to see obviously, how he has pulled up the Titans, trading pick number 18 in the first round and pick 101 to the Titans in exchange to get A.J. Brown. And they also want to use that draft pick, especially the first rounder, to pick Traylon Burks. And, seeing what Mike Vrabel said, I think it was like a year or two ago, it's just like, look, as long as I'm the head coach, I don't think A.J. Brown's going anywhere. And looking at it now, especially the fact that, Tennessee had lowballed someone like A.J. Brown, that someone like A.J. Brown only at 24, which is really crazy to believe, has multiple 1,000-yard seasons, and at times has a bit of an injury history, what is a bit of a concern, but I don't think it's going to be concerning enough. Whereas, I think it's really going to help out Jalen Hurts since, let's be real, the only two weapons the true weapons we have for him is let me back that up a little bit. 3, that's Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, and Quez Watkins. Because I'll get to Rager in just a second because, like I said, I think I got a lot of stuff to talk about Rager. Now, trading for A.J. Brown, though, I think it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, when we did trade for A.J. Brown during draft night, I know a lot of Eagles fans were not expecting for Howie to pull the trigger and acquire someone like A.J. Brown and then sign him to a 4-year, $100 million extension with $57 million of guarantee. Plus, we're paying him $25 million a year, and for a young wide receiver like A.J. Brown, who has like I said before, has multiple 1,000-yard seasons, and the fact that the Tennessee wanted to offer him a little bit over 16, potentially can go up to 20, but he was willing to take 22, but obviously Tennessee didn't see it that way, and we wind up acquiring his services, and he's going to be wearing number 11 and Eagles being back here. Obviously, you can see my Jalen Hurts jersey in the background. It's gonna be. I'm really excited to see what this Eagles team can look like going forward. Like I said, going forward, especially now having A.J. Brown for the next 4 years. But other than that, it's just like someone like I'll talk about the A.J. Brown thing in just a second. Based on the fact that obviously I thought we had a great, like I said, I think my co-host, my other buddy, my good buddy of mine, Tyler Coleman, who is the other half of the Philly Sports podcast. We did kind of talk about this in the last show. I thought we had a great draft. And I've talked this with Joey Shakes too. Like, this is like one of the biggest. This year's draft was the biggest draft of Howie's career as a GM. And I thought Howie did pretty well, especially following up last year's draft. And getting Devontae Smith and leapfrogging over the Giants, and which so kind of annoying, which it's still funny to us still to this day because we still live in Giants heads rent free a little bit because of that. But it's going to be very interesting, and that brings me into Week 14. We're away at the Giants at MetLife Stadium, and the thing about with the Giants is I thought they actually had their first round picks. I thought they were actually were pretty good actually. Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal. Not and I even might. I saw some mock drafts too. Like they had like Kayvon Thibodeau like somewhere in like the top 4 a little bit. But I said this too. I think with a few people that I know. That Kayvon Thibodeau. I said the lowest Thibodeau can fall is to 5, and that was the 2 of the Giants, and that's where I feel like Evan Neal would kind of fall into I think no. But I mean, with the 5th and 7th, I mean, we're going to see Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal in Giants blue. But do I think? And those, I mean, obviously having their first year head coach and Brian Daboll coming over from Buffalo, along with the same with the GM as well. Do I think the Giants are going to be good? I mean, at least somewhat competitive to a certain extent, yes. But I still feel like the Giants are still going to fall short. Because let's be real, they're still sticking with Daniel Jones for another year. It kind of gets you thinking, just like if you're sticking with someone like Daniel Jones who has not shown improvement the last 3 to 4 years, I would say catch your loss a bit then. At that point, but I think the GMs, the Giant GM, I thought it was kind of a bit smart about it because this year's draft class for the quarterbacks was not the best. Since there's a few that went, I think Carson's, obviously Desmond Ridder going to Atlanta, Kenny Pickett going to the Steelers, Malik Willis going to Tennessee, and all that. And it's just like I don't know, like this team. Like on paper, I think we're good on paper. We're just gonna figure out. We're gonna have the way to find it, execute it, and Jonathan Gannon needs to figure out to try to be a better play caller as a defensive coordinator because like I said earlier in the show, we have question marks at safety and the cornerback position, especially cornerback 2. Since I think this is last year on Darius Slay's contract, plus not having someone like we need someone like for cornerback 2, which that's been. I mean, we did pick up a couple corners in Josh Joby and I can't remember the other guy's name, but the question we're gonna have to see who's gonna be that cornerback number 2, and probably be Slay's backup throughout training camps and all that stuff, and just kind of see how that kind of turns out. But then we move on to Week 15. We got the Chicago Bears. We're away at Chicago. And I like what Chicago has done, especially in the draft. I mean, I think they addressed their needs pretty well, especially under the new regime of Ryan Poles. But I mean, Justin Fields. I don't know, but I think overall, I think the Bears are going to be good. I don't think they're going to be as. And I hate to say it, but I don't think the Bears are going to. I mean, I think the Bears are going to have a good season, but I don't think they're not going to. I don't think we can. I think it's going to be close between the two. I think the Bears can actually give us a little bit run for money, but the issue that I have would run with Chicago at times is their. The offensive line. I mean, we saw how bad their O-line was, not protecting Justin Fields and all that. But other than that, it's just, it's kind of, it's kind of crazy to see, what this team is going to look like. And look, I'm not taking Chicago lightly because it's just, I think Chicago might be sneaky good. I think, like I said, I'm not taking some of these teams lightly, as I'm gonna try to be taking these teams a little bit evenly as I possibly can. Some are going, and like teams like Detroit, I think who is starting to move in the right direction. Do I think they're still going to fall short? Probably, definitely fall short of the playoffs, but you may never know of what Dan Campbell and his coaching staff might change up a few things. Obviously, you still got Jared Goff as their signal caller. This period, I don't think Goff is the guy for Detroit, but that's here nor there. And then week 16, then we are away at Dallas, and I think that's a loss there based on the track record. We can't beat Dallas in their own stadium, and we've seen that time in like the last 2 to 3 years, maybe. It's just how this team wants to not really want to. We can't be it like that. But other than that, I mean, so far, I thought we have somewhat of an easy schedule to say the least. And then we go to New Orleans. I thought that some of their picks were actually pretty decent. Obviously, also picking up Tyrann Mathieu in the offseason to help with that secondary as well. Based on the fact that it's just like it is what it is, though. But I think that's going to be somewhat of a close game. I think the Eagles might pull it out slightly, but I don't think it's going to be a total blowout because I think say what you want about Jameis Winston. I think overall, before that ACL, he tore his ACL in his knee. I thought he played pretty well with New Orleans in his first year with New Orleans. The fact that he's coming from Tampa Bay, where he threw like 30 touchdowns to 30 interceptions, during that span. And then coming over to New Orleans, and before Sean Payton steps down as the head coach a little bit. I thought I think Sean Payton has coaching him. I feel like kind of figured out what Jameis Winston, what his strengths and weaknesses are, and it just seems to me that Jameis Winston, I think he's a somewhat of a serviceable quarterback. Is he going to be like an All-Pro? Probably not, but I think he's good enough to be competitive in the NFL going forward. Obviously, now he's securing himself a 2-year extension with the Saints, and then week 18, which is our final game of the year. We are home against the Giants. Like I said about the Giants, they don't really scare me. I really don't think they're going to be really beating the Eagles because we've seen the last couple of years. Technically we fucked. Sometimes we really fucked with them. Obviously 2020, that's a whole different thing in entirety. Where we threw the last game and just screwed them out of the playoffs. And that time we still had Doug Peterson. It's for me. I just want to see this team really, and the Giants, even though they're going in the right direction to an extent. I don't think they're going. I think they're going. Like I said, they're going to probably fall short of the playoffs. Same with. I think you can definitely make the same argument with Washington a little bit, especially with the players that they have, and also with their draft picks. And who knows if Carson Wentz is going to work out in Washington? Because I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But that's our schedule so far. So obviously with the 18-week schedule. And obviously by week 7, if I want to give an overall prediction into some of these games, I feel like we can go 11-6 based on the fact that on paper, and if we can actually well execute, I think we can maybe win 12 games. Maybe that's a question mark because, like I said, the cornerback and the safety is our biggest question marks going into this year. I think a lot, and people want to hate on Jalen Hurts, but other than that, and let's just I'll kind of talk about this for the next a couple of minutes. I did kind of talk about the Jalen Hurts haters thing, but kind of speaking on Jalen Hurts. Let's see hypothetically if Jalen Hurts, improves especially I made a video about it, with his deep ball accuracy and radius progression. If he can, do that, especially the entire year, and be consistent with it. I think this dude can be our franchise quarterback. But if not, like I said, and I said, and I think I said this too with a couple of Eagles content creators, like it's time for we can always look at 2023 for the quarterback class. I mean, so far, two big names when it comes to the quarterbacks going into 2023 is Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. Now, it's going to be very interesting because, like, say hypothetically, if Jalen Hurts is not the guy, honestly, like I said, go after a quarterback because obviously we do have 2 first-round picks in 2023. I think multiple later round picks at the same time. Plus, we have a 2024 second rounder from the Saints. When we made that trade, I think overall, I think this team can really be. I don't know. Like I said, it depends on how the Eagles playing or how the Eagles do in the season and how Jalen Hurts if he's willing if he puts that work in, especially in the all season and in the voluntary workouts, the OTAs, training camp, the preseason, all that kit and caboodle, and then we wrap it all into one. If he doesn't really apply it to and to obviously to the 18-week regular season schedule, then I think it's an indicator that Jalen Hurts is not the guy for Philadelphia. Because I feel like based on the fact I think we're somewhat stuck in QB purgatory, and I like a lot of Eagles fans might disagree. But if you really look at it, we haven't really had a solid quarterback since Donovan McNabb. And Donovan McNabb had his better years here in Philadelphia. I think a lot of Eagles have saw sometimes the decline of Donovan McNabb. I mean, he went through a different ones. Jeff Garcia. I'm surprised I don't remember his name. Kevin Cobb. I don't know. A lot of Eagles fans don't remember him. Unfortunately, Sam Bradford, Mark Sanchez. And those guys flopped. Carson Wentz to some extent, I thought in 2017, and without that ACL tear, I thought Carson Wentz had that MVP kind of just locked down in the NFL. But if it weren't for that, like I said, without that ACL tear to Carson Wentz, Tom Brady would not have that MVP, plain and simple. But other than that, even having Nick Foles, even though Nick Foles has been up and down, prior, being the backup to Carson Wentz, and it just seems to me that it's just like someone like Foles. Despite he did win us a Super Bowl, I'll give him that, and obviously pulling off probably one of the most iconic plays. I think a lot of Eagles fans are probably going to remember, even like the new generation that can, say, 20, 25 years down the road. It's just like, it's going to probably, like I said, and it's going to go down in history as one of probably the greatest play calls with the Philadelphia Eagles. But, but for me, it just seems like this team, I don't know, but it's just, like I said, like say Jalen Hurts doesn't, and basically in all, kind of to wrap it up here, I know this is one of my shorter shows, because like I said, I have other, some good stuff for you guys coming. But kind of finish my last thought before we wrap it up here. Like I said, if Jalen Hurts isn't the guy, I think if I'm Howie, I will either look going into next year and the next year's QB class, right, which is going to be very loaded. Like I said, with the likes of C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young probably leading the way, probably one of the 2 bigger names out of the bigger schools. You got Bryce Young coming out of Alabama, and then you got C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State. But I think overall, the Eagles are. I hope the Eagles have a good season, because if not, we're gonna have the. And scratch that. I think they're gonna have a good season. I think they're not gonna. I don't know. Like, it's good. It's like, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But we're gonna have to see what the Eagles can do and see what the product we're gonna see in September. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this short show. Kind of breaking down the schedule, kind of give my few thoughts on a few things before we wrap it up here. But before we wrap it up here, later tonight at 10 o'clock, I will be live for the Phillies and Dodgers game. Make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe button, you guys are new, and definitely share that out as well, because I will do because I will be live tonight, Friday, and Saturday for the Phillies and Dodgers, at 10 o'clock at 10 a.m. Or not 10 a.m. but 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. on the West Coast. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the show. Make sure you leave a like on it, share the stream out, hit the subscribe button, you guys are new. With that all out of the way, this is Robert from the Philly Sports Talk Podcast. I'll see you guys in the next episode.